Well, hi, everybody. Today, we want to be talking about coaching and coaching strategy, coaching philosophy, and what it is that makes a good coach a good coach. We also want to be thinking outside of PE and sports. Certainly, it applies to sports, and we have really tangible, easily accessible, easy to see examples of good and bad coaching in sports because sports are a big thing in our society and they're on TV a lot. So we see certainly examples of good and bad coaches, good and bad decisions, how those decisions play out over time. And sports are a nice, easy way to see that. But we also want to think about coaches in all other aspects of life. We can think about coaches as people who are bosses. We can think of coaches as people who are team leaders. We can think of coaches as certainly people who are involved in religious life, political life. We can think of coaches in all sorts of scenarios and not eliminate yourselves in that picture because you are naturally a coach to people you come across every single day. Our ability to lead others doesn't just start with an official title or official position on a team or in an organization. We can be a coach within that team and organization or informally in our daily interactions. We've all been in situations where we've been in a waiting room and someone comes in with a big burst of energy and they're talking to everybody and the whole mood in the room shifts. That's a coach. That's a person that steps in, gives leadership, sets the tone, and creates a scenario where probably you're going to enjoy your time waiting a lot more than you would have previously. So it doesn't have to be something official. It doesn't have to be something that is long thought out. But coaching is a lifestyle. And I want you to recognize that you are naturally a coach. You have potential and opportunity to lead people and influence your situation always. So let's take a look and dive in just a little bit. Move me over. All right, so here are some of our stereotypical coaches. A lot smaller here. And these are always kind of funny. I always joke with my friends and my wife about how PE teachers are portrayed in movies. I get a good laugh out of it. Sometimes it's true, and sometimes it's not, but it's funny all the same. Coaches are similarly portrayed in movies, even on TV, in real life, as all these things. The overzealous coach, the coach that acts really tough, the coach that says things, says, do as I say, not as I do. You have the coaches that are screamers. You have the coaches that are really laid back. You have the hyper organized coaches. So we have all types of ideas that might pop in our head when we think of a coach, but we want to dive a little deeper than just what's portrayed out there in TV land. Here's Jim Valvano. He is a prime example of one of my coaching landmark guys. He's a guy that was successful, but more than that, very inspirational guy. So I want to play this for you for just a couple minutes.
Case with me. My father was the single most important influential person in my life. He never made a lot of money, and I think he's the richest man I ever knew. He never had a position of real importance, and yet he influenced more people than anyone else that I know. My father, Rocco Valvano. Let me tell you, so I know I'm running late. Let me tell you, you have to share. So when I got this job, my first job, I said to my pop, I said, boy, he's great, Dad. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, we're going to win a national championship. And he said, I'll be there. I said, it's hard to do that. He said, I'll be there. Right now, it took me 8 years of work before I even made the tournament that was my dream to win. 8 years. First year I made it, I'm coaching at Iona. I call up home, my dad, mom in New York, I said, we made it, we got a bid. So we celebrated the way Italians celebrate, we eat. You know, it was on a Sunday, we eat. All right, we start at 2 o'clock, you finish midnight. Halftime about 6 o'clock, you know. My father calls me upstairs in his bedroom, which has never been in my father's bedroom, you know? And he calls you up and he says, there's a suitcase. Now remember I told you where my family's from. My father's never left New York. My father thinks everything north of the George Washington Bridge is Canada, right? You understand that? Do you know what I'm saying? Right? My father, we lived in the neighborhood with the Famularos, the Pizzamentes, the Kifas, the Coppolas. I brought him, my wife is the first fair-skinned person that I ever met. It's the truth. Brought her home, my father said, we're not sure what it is, but let's keep it. You know, he said, you know? So, you see what I'm talking about? This man, this old guy, oh, he's got the suitcase. What's that for? He said, I'm going to be there when you win the national championship. My bags are packed. I said, Pop, it's hard. Well, you'll do it. We lost in the first round. The next year, same thing. We lost the second round. He said, you're Gainer. I moved to North Carolina. We made the tournament. I called him. It became a phrase, a catchphrase. My father said, my bags are packed for you. My suitcase is packed for you. And we lost, and we kept losing. Well, the year we won, 1983, I got a great picture of my father and I on center court in Albuquerque, New Mexico, hugging, and my brother gave it to me, and it said, like father, like son. It's the most important gift that I have from my brother. That picture, I know I'm not half the man my father is, but just that he knew what a compliment that would be to me. That night we celebrated. My dad said, what are you going to do now? I said, we're going to do it again. He said, no, I'll be there. I said, I know you are. All right, the next year we made the tournament, called my bags are packed, we lost. Next year we made it, we lost. But we lost in regional finals. And after the game I called up, we lost to St. John's in Denver, Colorado. I called my pop, he said, what a great game, I saw it. Oh, you were one. Next year you'll make it. Then I flew home that night. He was one of those people who after I spoke to him, I always felt better than before. 2 years ago, April, my father had a heart attack and he died. And I lost my best friend in the whole world. This is not a sad story, it's a happy story. But I was knocked for a loop. Those of you who've lost a loved one, you know what that's like. This was my first time in my life. I didn't know how to handle it. And I was missing, I couldn't understand what it was I was missing. A lot of people lose, you know, the people they love and maybe handle a little bit better. What was it? I didn't see him all the time. You know, I was traveling a lot, right? And then it hit me. What it was he gave me. I call it that. The gift my father gave me. And I think it's the strongest and most powerful gift I've ever received. And it's a gift I find we don't like to give to each other, both in our business and our personal life. I spent 2 years trying to give this gift to other people. The gift my father gave me every day of my life was he believed in me. My father believed in me. He believed in me when I failed. He believed in me when I wasn't as fine a son, friend, husband, father as I could be. I've done all that. But he's the one person who, when I didn't measure up to my standard or someone else's standard, he'd look me in the eye and he'd say, you're going to make it. I know you are. My bags are packed. You're going to make it. And it's the greatest thing. And I said to myself, how many people do I give that to? My own players. And how often when they make a mistake am I critical? But never, ever look them in the eye and say, son, you'll make it. I know you will. I know you can. I believe in it. Right? How many people who I work with do that? How many people who I work for do that? Oh, it's an incredible gift, and I've worked 2 years now to add it to my personal philosophy. I like to remember where I started. I know where I am, and I know where I'm going, and I know I'm going to get there. I'm going to be excited and enthusiastic every day that God gives me on this earth. I am going to dream my dreams. I'm going to work, not harder than anybody else, as hard as everyone, and accept the failures, right? And I'm going to laugh a little bit and believe in the people I work with, the people who work for me, and the people I work for. And there's nothing going to stop me from cutting down the nets in my second national championship. And when I do, I'm going to sprint out on the court. You'll know why that I'm sprinting out. You'll know that. And I'm going to look up and I'm going to say, Pop, this one's for you. And I know he's up there elbowing someone. I know it's not a referee. It's going to be somebody else, right? He's elbowing someone and saying, that's my son. I knew he was going to do it. My bags were always packed. I ask you to have your bags packed to share in the successes of others. To not only have your bags packed to share, but be able to believe in the people you work with. If you can fill each day, I think with that kind of belief and enthusiasm, and a dream and a work ethic, a little laughter. I can't imagine us all not having a chance of cutting the nets down 52. Case with me. My father was the single most important.
So that's what a coach really is. A coach is essentially a mirror that reflects what a person needs, what a person has, what a person needs to see in themselves. So, fundamental question: are you capable of coaching others? Are your bags packed for others? Is that something you can practice every day? Are you like Coach Valvano's father? When someone's having a tough day, are you there to support them? If you usually are, it's kind of in your personality. If you're not naturally, it's something we can work on. Are you willing to never get there? Are you willing to not win the championship? Is that a risk you're willing to take? Coaching is really about journey more than it is about destination. While that's kind of a catchphrase, it's true. True, good coaches may have a goal to win a championship or a goal to get their athlete or their employee or whoever to the finish line and have them get all the recognition for it. But the coaching and the people who love coaching, the people who are good coaches, are willing to never get to that championship moment. And they're willing to be happy with the journey. Are you thinking in terms of professional or amateur coaching? Professional coaches, whether they're bosses or a professional coach on a college or professional sports team, have money on the line. They have an image that they have to maintain for a fan base or for the rest of a corporation or for the other employees. An amateur coach is a person who doesn't have money on the line. They have simply their fidelity to the people they're coaching. That's it. And so, can a professional coach take on the attributes of an amateur coach? Yes, they can. But professional coaches have other pulls on them that perhaps an amateur coach doesn't. So we know that coaches have all of these attributes about them. A good coach is trusting, respectful, enthusiastic, supportive, patient, focused, observant, knowledgeable, clear communicator, and goal-oriented. Some of these, though, are personality traits. This is things that maybe a coach is born with or has worked on in their youth all the way up through adulthood, and it's ingrained in their personality. These skills are learned traits. Notice focused and observant are in both categories because they are both learned and they can be innate, born with them. But learned traits come to knowledge of your subject area, how to communicate clearly, how to be goal-oriented, which goals matter. They can laser in on focus, and they can laser in on being more observant than they already are. Now think about the best coach you've ever had. Expanding beyond sports. Did he or she score high on these attributes? Does he or she score low on any of them? We're all people. We're going to be at different levels on each of these things. So naturally, it would make sense that even a great coach might be lacking in one or two of these categories. Maybe they compensate with an outstanding score in other attributes. Or maybe they score high because they know what they're not really great at and they're working very hard on it to get better. Now think about you as a team member and that coach. Did you require more of that person's personality, or did you require more of that person's learned skills? Are you a balanced teammate? Balanced in terms of what you needed. For instance, if I'm a teammate who needs support because I lack some self-esteem, maybe I really think that coach was awesome for me because they gave me support. At the same time, maybe I knew a lot about the sport and I didn't need a particular amount of knowledge bestowed on me, but that support is what really drew me to that coach. Now think of all the other teammates on your team. Did they need what you needed? Did they need that support that I needed? Or did they need more of other things? I know on every team I had teammates who were not focused. I had teammates who were not knowledgeable. I'd have teammates that were not respectful. Would the coach work with them on these attributes? Would the coach demonstrate, follow through, demand these attributes be followed? Good coaches do. Good coaches recognize where their athletes or their understudies are needing, and they work to build those skills. You're starting to realize that coaches and their teams are in the same boat. Now think back to the best coach you've ever had. And think about what on this scale they did not score well on. After you've thought about that, think about what steps they might have taken to show you they were working on that. Now we're going to look in the mirror a little bit. Think about you as a coach. What do you have in your toolbox right now? What have other coaches pointed out to you as things you could work on? What have other coaches or peers pointed out to you that you have in your bag right now? Do you have any limitations? When a coach lacks something and recognizes it, should that coach address it with a team? Can teammates fill in the gaps where coaches are lacking? Is a clear communicator who's a team captain valuable when a coach is not a clear communicator? I think so. Remember, the coach and the team are in the same boat. The coach's job is to try and get everybody on the same path, paddling together. Does the coach need to play along and follow the designated leaders on the team as well? Can a coach step back and be a follower for a little while? It's probably a wise thing to do. When a coach lacks something and the team realizes it, what should the team do? One thing I would recommend is the team should address it with the coach. The team should talk about what they see. The team should also recognize what they can do to make the situation better. Where can the team help the coach? Where can the coach help the team? Oftentimes, coaches get caught in between dichotomous and antagonistic complaints. It drives some coaches crazy. In fact, it drives some coaches out of coaching altogether because they say, well, I can't please anybody. Or they take on the mantra, you can't please everybody, so just go your way, which can be good advice sometimes, but also not serve too well if you're going the wrong way. So some complaints are that coaches are too personal, while other coaches are too cold. Some say a coach plays favorites. Some say a coach doesn't like anybody. Some say that coaches are too friendly. They want to be people's friends too much. Other people say a coach is too antagonistic. They're the enemy. Some complain that their coach is too organized, too much of a stickler. Others complain that a coach might be disorganized. They don't know what they're doing. Some people say, well, this coach thinks what I think, so I'm not going to learn anything from that person. We're like the same person. And other people say, that coach doesn't know anything. Well, you can see where this can get frustrating for a person who's trying to lead an organization or a team. And so we want to address that and recognize it in front of being a coach of any sort. So you know how to manage those thoughts that come your way. It's natural that leaders are scrutinized, but there are solutions. Communicate early and often whether you're a teammate or a leader. Check in with your goals regularly if you're a teammate or a leader. Recognize problems and tactfully deal with them. We're not going to attack a coach or a teammate, verbally or otherwise. We want to approach them, recognize what they're doing right, address where we think things are going wrong, and always put the team first. The reason I'm coming to you, coach, with this is because I want our team to be as successful as it can be. Who can turn you away? What coach wouldn't listen? Ask for feedback. Respond to feedback. Feedback needs to go both directions between a coach and the team. Celebrate successes. When something good happens, big or little, celebrate it. Announce it to the team. Applaud it. Share what you learn. Everybody learns things out there in the big wide world. And if it applies to the team and can help the team get better, share it. Lead by example and live by the expectations that's set for the team. That's really important. The do as I say, not as I do coach is not going to be a successful coach. Same for the teammate. We have to lead the example and live the example. Maybe you can think of other solutions. So who are coaches? There's certainly the Little League coach. Parents can be coaches. Teen leaders, mentors can be coaches, camp counselors. Religious leaders, politicians, destination hike leaders. Middle management can be coaches. Teachers can be coaches. Every single discipline has people who have done that thing longer than people who are coming into it. Those people are natural coaches. They're people, whether they like it or not, who are looked up to and followed. And they're people with a great amount of power to do the right thing and help others. Thanks for listening, guys.